Hi, my name is Jason Davila, president of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And I'm Julian, historian of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And we are the podcast of the Pear Garden. It's been a while.
Really?
So it's good to be back here. Today, we have our special guest here, and this is going to be Brady Greer-Huffman. Well, who are you? Who are you?
Oh man, that's a big question. Gosh, who am I? I am a Midwest boy doing theater in Southern California. Yeah. I don't know. Gosh, what do I say? This is like the. Ooh, I'm sweating now. Yeah, I'm a professor here at Cal State San Bernardino. I teach some design courses. I have also done set design and light design here. I also teach at University of Redlands, where I teach fundamentals of acting, and I've done some design work there. I also worked at. Ooh, I just did the lip thing. I did the lip thing. Oh my gosh. Scott's going to fire me. I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, probably. I taught at La Sierra University for a bit. There was the technical director / production manager. It was a smaller department, so I really kind of got to make my role whatever I wanted it to be. I directed there. I mean, that's such a weird question. Like, who am I? What do I do? I am just a person existing, trying to create art. And whoever I run into, try to sort of include in that journey or try to figure out how I can be a part of their journey. That is who I am.
Awesome.
I'm a dude in a boat.
I love asking just a weirdly simple question like that and then, stumble upon it because, how do you answer that?
Yeah. Who are you, Jason?
Oh, who am I?
Ooh.
Yeah.
We have an episode on that. If
We
you
do
look
have
back at
an
the
episode on that.
podcast.
If you look at the
Oh.
very first episode of the podcast of the Pear Garden, you will see the interview with Jason Davila.
We should do it. Cut to a little clip.
I am a 22-year-old theater arts major, about to graduate next week.
That's exciting.
As theater arts acting concentration. I have written my own pieces. I've done performances on stage. I have also done a lot of sound designing and music making. That's really the art design aspect of it. But I guess I just overall am someone born in North Hollywood, moved out here to San Bernardino when I was 11, 12 years old, and adapted here to CSUSB. So honestly, pretty similar case. I'm just kind of boat.
Yeah.
Kind of
We're
boat
just
sailing
all
away.
dudes in boats.
Just dudes and boats.
Dudes and boats.
You know what,
Yeah.
Julian? What about you? What's your boat?
My boat?
He's got a yacht.
I was going to say, I either have a raft or I have a Titanic. I'm a raft on the Titanic. I'm the musician drowning with the Titanic. That's me.
Oh, wow. You need to invest in some floaties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You make the instruments floaties. I'm sure we
Wood
can.
floats,
Oh.
apparently.
Does it?
I think
Well,
so.
yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah, that's what boats are made of.
Yeah. I mean, Kate Winslet, Leonardo DiCaprio. That door is floating.
That door was floating.
Okay.
Scott's going to have nothing to use.
It's all going in.
We
right,
are
Scott?
making his life very difficult.
No, this is fun.
So, Brady, you mentioned how you are a Midwest boy. Can we just talk about a little bit with your upbringing?
Yeah.
Coming to the point where I would say, from childhood all the way up to your college career.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in St. Joseph, Missouri, which is known for Jesse James and the Pony Express. And I was a really shy kid. I was a bit of a mama's boy. Didn't, really kept to myself, major introvert. But I had tons of action figures. And I loved playing in my room. All the other kids were like, yeah, let's go play football outside. Let's go play kickball. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to take my Wolverine, Cyclops, and Magneto and go build a story in my room. I would build forts with VHS tapes for them to jump around. Whenever I had a few extra bucks, it was time to go to KB's Toys or Ventures and buy action figures. And I don't think at the time, I don't think I realized like that was my foundation for storytelling. That was my foundation for performance, for acting, for design. You know, at that point, it's just a kid playing in the room. When I got to middle school, I was doing a speech class, and I can't remember the teacher's name, but I know we called her Mrs. B because her last name started with a B. Just want to clarify that. And we had to do a little play, and I was cast as this really small role because I was a shy kid. And then we performed the play, and I mean, I got into it. I was like, oh, okay, now I'm a living action figure. What do I do? And I created a voice, created a character. And I remember at the end of the play, we had a debrief, and she pointed me out, and she was like, I never in the world would I have thought Brady would be the one to stand out, but he stood out among all of you. And that was a huge confidence booster, and I went, oh, maybe there's something here. And then they decided to start a drama program when I was in 8th grade, and they were doing some goofy little melodrama, twirling the mustache kind of a thing. And it was as a ripoff or a parody of Starbucks, but in the Midwest. I played a character called Mo Cabana. And when we auditioned, I did a little voice like that. And the class, again, they were like, "What? Who is this kid?" And yeah, through theater, I really started to find myself and find confidence, and everything that I was, creating in my bedroom with my action figures slowly started to come out of my bedroom. And it was like, okay, I think I'm more comfortable with who I am. And then in high school, I did quite a bit of theater. Kansas City is about an hour south of St. Joseph. No. Yeah. Hour south of St. Joseph. And there was this weird modeling agency that I got hooked up with, and I got a bunch of classes and whatnot, and went to this little weird thing in New York, which was kind of cool. But that, I was getting, these acting classes that I, like Meisner and Stella really early, which was really kind of cool because it really influenced myself. It influenced how I was as a performer, because that's where I started. I started as an actor. That's what I wanted to do. When I graduated from high school, I put all of my eggs in one basket. And I was to go to Juilliard because I was a Midwest boy with big dreams. I got an audition. I went to the audition, got some good feedback, but didn't get accepted. And I remember just going, what do I now do with my life? And so I quickly applied to this school in Iowa because a friend of my sister's, who was a senior when I was a freshman in high school, went to this school called Northwestern College in Orange City, Iowa. And we had gone to see a play that she had written that was fully produced, all student done, and it was really well done. I was really impressed at the program. So I thought, okay, I need to apply somewhere. Let's just apply there. And I was accepted. And at first, I was constantly going, oh, I need to transfer. What am I getting from this? But when I look back in retrospect, what I got from Northwestern College was its focus on ensemble, its focus on story, its focus on really how to use the skills of theater to be a better human being, and to recognize that you can, you can aim for Broadway, you can aim for Hollywood, you can aim for all of these sort of big places, right? But the truth is, as an artist, if you want to succeed, you, one, have to define that success for yourself, whatever that looks like, but you also have to figure out how do you tap into the community around you, because they're hungry for art. And if you can figure out how to be an artist in the community that you're in, you will find success through the people, through the relationships. And so I think in many ways that's what I've always strived for when I create, is it's not always about what is the art that I'm creating, but what is the relationships I'm creating within the art, if that makes sense. And so that then led me out here to Redlands, where, yeah, I have a weird journey because I worked at a hospital for 9 years. I was like, I need to pay. I need
Right.
money, and theater wasn't really. LA isn't a theater town.
Right.
It's not, right? It's a film town. And I would do the 8 a.m. calls, so I'd wake up at 3 in the morning, drive to LA, sleep in my car, go on set, and I just was like, well, this isn't fulfilling. I'm just another. I don't know, just an ant swimming in a big pool, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm drowning. This isn't fulfilling because I wasn't making relationships. It was I'd see Fred on Tuesday and Martha on Thursday and never see him again. Sure, we'd be friends on social media, but
Right.
I mean, and so what ended up happening is some of the contacts I had made here in Redlands, specifically at Loma Linda University, he was like, hey, you want to start a program here? Not a program, it was a sponsored. What it was is they have a humanities program, and they asked us to do 2 shows a year, always very thought-provoking. And the goal was to create conversation in the community. And I thought, oh, this sort of aligns with what I like to do. And so, I've been doing that for 12 years now, 11 years, I think. And we always try to pick, shows that are culturally relevant. Let's see, right after the pandemic, we did Typhoid Mary, which is about Mary Mallon, who was an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid. And she refused to believe that she had typhoid, but she was spreading typhoid all around all these kitchens she was cooking in, and all these kids were mysteriously dying. But the way that the institutions treated her kind of stripped her of her humanity. And it's a really interesting play by Mark St. Germain that explores that. And those are the kinds of things that I was like, oh, this is interesting. We did, what else did we do? When I got my MFA in playwriting and screenwriting, I actually interviewed a bunch of the physicians who I worked with about their experience during the COVID-19 pandemic the first year. And I took those interviews and turned them into a play. We staged that, which was very moving. We've done WIT, because Loma Linda is a medical university. It's a medical school. But yeah, and then through that is how I got hooked up with La Sierra University. The chair of the program there saw what I was doing at Loma Linda and was like, hey, can you come do that at La Sierra? And I was like, sure. So then I started working there, which, after a couple semesters, all of a sudden I had all this creative freedom to sort of play, to see what we could create. I was also working at Redlands Christian School in Redlands at the same time. I was a drama instructor, and then I would direct their middle school show and then their high school / middle school musical at the same time. I've just rambled on.
No, that's perfectly
this
fine.
is just sort of
This is
what I
great.
did. It was,
This is what we want.
So it's always been about any of these places that I've gotten sort of connected with. I've weirdly stumbled upon them through people I have worked with,
Right.
and those relationships that I have created. And so I think in many ways, like that has been my journey.
Yeah.
Is how do you come into a place, you ask how do they do it, and then you figure out, who they are, and you try to, you then start to ask, how can I help? How can I be a part of this community? Where do I fit in?
Yeah.
So that we can all create something beautiful together.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of my journey, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so when it came to that journey, would you feel like, if, say, for example, if you didn't go for your MFA, right? Or if you didn't try to, make that leap into going to those different colleges, do you feel like you'll be where you are to this day?
No, I wouldn't. I'd be an arrogant little twit. Seriously, I really believe that.
Yeah.
I think it's those experiences and that, because I was an arrogant twit in high school. That's why I put all my eggs in one basket. I was like, oh, this is where I'm gonna go.
Right.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
And I think I think for me, I think maybe this is too much. I'm exposing myself. I think my early battle as an artist was my ego.
Okay.
Because I was a big fish in a small pond.
Mm-hmm.
I was the lead in every show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every artist has to have this journey at some point. You have to realize the reality of your abilities and your skill set, because it's only then that you actually begin to grow.
Yeah.
If you don't recognize that, you're always going to be at this kind of plateau where you think that you are, I am so good. But no, the truth is we become better by trying to understand the perspectives of other people and the point of view of other people, because that influences the way in which we create. And having those, trying to, I think, empathize and understand those other viewpoints of life allows you to be able to create something that is maybe more universally relatable, even though it's still your point of view and your perspective. And I don't think I don't think I ever would have stumbled upon any of that if I hadn't gone to Northwestern College in Orange City, Iowa. And then if I didn't have these various people in my life who went, hey, I like what you're doing, can you come join us? Because it's like, when I look at those people who have done that, I have so much gratitude for them. Because it's because of them that I've become who I am. And so, no, I'd be a very different person if I didn't have that journey,
Yeah. You see, I ask that question just because I literally say this in every single podcast that we've done, but I'm a tour guide. I'm a campus tour guide, right? Yeah, crazy, right? You wouldn't have known it, but I'm a tour guide. And I've been in campus tours for, this would be my 4th year, right? So I've been doing it since my freshman year. And I've met thousands and thousands of kids and even college students that come visit campus. And it's funny because you meet so many different circles, many different perspectives where, some of them are very excited, very interested and intrigued of going to higher education. And then you have the few as well that are just like, why? Mm-hmm. Why bother? You know? Especially when it comes to the arts, right? Sure, if you look at Hollywood life and you see how there are some actors and some people that made it big, right, without going to higher education, dropped out of high school even, and they still made it big. And, sure, that's a possibility, I suppose. Mm-hmm. But I've always had the philosophy that, with being the best who you can be as a human being, as a person within your community, as someone, as just being an individual and just part of humanity, I suppose, is, through those connections and embracing humility. Yeah. Right. Embracing humility and being just humble and overall where you are. Be grateful to where you are. Yeah. Because there was a certain point in time as well where I kind of had a pretty high ego when it came to being in the theatrical world, because it's kind of funny, coincidentally, we kind of had almost the same level. My 8th grade years when I first started doing theater. Excellent. I started writing at that time. I started doing performances, and I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And then I was starting getting like a bunch of different performances on stage in high school, and I was like, oh man, I feel great.
Right.
And
you get all that attention, right?
Right.
All
exactly.
that external validation, and it makes you.
And then it came to that point where it's just like, oh, I didn't get the lead in this one time.
Right. And then when that happens, it's their fault, right? It's your fault.
I was like, I deserve it, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, why?
Yeah.
It took a lot to kind of dismantle those bricks, right? And kind of start myself leveling back up. And coming to CSUSB, I've had even New York and NYU in thoughts. I was having different thoughts of even going up north to different art schools. Which is ironic because I've always talked about with pride with my sister who's here. She's alumni of class of 2012. And she's always been, like, all my life encouraged me to go to CSUSB, but I was actually considering other campuses first. But I said, nah, I'm going to be here. And my experiences here at CSUSB, I could comfortably say that with my experiences with the many different directors and professors here, there was this one course that I took called Styles of Acting, and Professor Papier, she was my mentor, and let's just say, I was really confident in this one thing. I was like, yeah, I got this. She laid me down after that, and really, struck like different points of what I was doing. And, at first I was like, oh, well, I guess I didn't do it, right? But at the end, it was almost just, I was extremely grateful at that moment, because that's when, again, just embracing that humility and thinking to myself, oh yeah, I never saw that perspective, and now I see it. And, I did it again, and it was so much better. And that's kind of just where I want to lead to here then, though. With your experiences of going to, your higher education experiences with your connections here in Southern California, what made you come to CSUSB?
Well, after moving here, I had a few years where I worked some part-time jobs, and then a few years where I tried to make it in LA. And I got to the point where I was like, I need income. I had this gentleman named Dr. Lanham, Dr. David Lanham, phenomenal guy, offer me a position in his family medicine group to be basically the office manager. And he was a phenomenal boss, and I worked there for 9 years. About every 3 years, I'd say, I need to go figure this out. But the way that he led, it was just, it was a master class in leadership that I knew I would get nowhere else. It was financially lucrative. And he was also supporting a lot of my artistic projects on the side. He helped me through getting my MFA, he helped me through getting my MA. Now, the group was designed to only operate within this one medical facility. And they decided to, and so this would have been a year and a half ago, they decided they were not going to renew our contract. So we were all going to be, either we join this new group that was coming in, or we go off and find other jobs. Now, at this point, I had already worked at La Sierra quite a bit. I was still am doing the sponsorship at Loma Linda. So I had my MFA. I was in the process of getting my MFA in Arts Administration. So I already had quite a bit of college experience. And in my back pocket, I always thought, when I'm ready to move on from the hospital job, I want to go into academics. Because I just remember I'm still in touch with my professors at Northwestern College in Orange City, Iowa. Every time I go back to St. Joseph, I go have dinner with my high school drama teacher. These people, they knew me, and I knew them, and their wisdom was just so impactful on my life that I just thought I want to be able to be that for someone. And so I thought that's kind of what I want to do. And also, I think at the college level, it's a wonderful learning experience, because I feel like you're teaching through a collaboration. You're not teaching through, this is what hey, here's the assignment, I want you to do this. It's no, show me who you are. This is who I am. How can we learn from each other in the way that we create art? And so in my back pocket, I knew that's where I wanted to go. So when we lost the contract, it was really unexpected. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so Pam Lambert, who's a good friend of mine, and had mentioned that Cal State was looking for lighting. First, it was I thought she had said a technical director. I wasn't quite for sure what was being looked for. And so I just sent Andre an email saying, hey, want to collaborate? And he was like, sure, we'll chat. And Pam and Shannon both wrote me letters of recommendations, and I went through the whole process, and we had a meeting. He was like, sure, I'd love to collaborate together. And I was like, great. And I think what I love about here is, there's All the noises, the weird noises in the building. No.
I mean, ghosts.
I think the students, like, you guys are just, like, look at this. You have a freaking podcast. You know, like, you can, if you want to do something, you just have to take the initiative to do it. And those are the types of places where, like, your education can just blossom. And you can take your education into your own hands. And I think any of these professors, if you were to approach them and say, hey, I have this project, would you be willing to support me? They would. Because I think that, to me, I feel like that's kind of the philosophy here. And maybe I'm wrong. You know, it's my first year. I'm still learning. But our goal is for you guys to take ownership of your education and really create, and for us to come along and support you in doing that. And yeah, you know, we have the main stage shows, you know, and our focus is often there. But I think outside of that, there is also this wonderful opportunity for you guys to, you know, if you want to do lights, you sign up for Tech Practicum. You can do lights. You want to usher. You know, there's that opportunity. You have the opportunity to try every facet of theater, to become well-rounded, which then makes you more marketable. And I love programs like that. I think, in terms of where theater is heading, I think that's kind of where we're going to need to be, so that you can plug yourself in. But what that also means is, again, we get to collaborate together. I'm not holding my status over you. I'm going, okay, yeah, great. Let's work together. And I think that's far more valuable in education. Yeah, so I think that's why I'm here. That's what I like about being here. That's how I ended up here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Brady, I will say, just from personally speaking, all throughout this academic year, you know, I have been pretty distant overall, just trying to focus behind the scenes with, you know, PPG stuff, or being part of OTP, or being part of Midsummer. There was just so much happening, but, you know, all of my friends here have been always talking about you, right?
Oh,
and
that's
I
very
was
sweet.
just like, man, this Brady guy, he sounds freaking cool. You know,
I have them fooled.
you know, and so it's, you know, like, sorry, I'm just recalling just like this one simple, silly interaction that we had in the student union.
Oh no!
Right.
Oh no! You're gonna embarrass me, aren't
You
you?
know,
I've already embarrassed myself. It's fine.
It's just like, hey, Brady, how you doing? Frick off, Jason. You know,
But it was said with love.
Said
It
with
was said with love.
it was just so funny. But yeah, you know, hearing.
This is when you were searching for your wallet, wasn't it? Yeah, I was very stressed at that moment.
I found it.
You did?
Yeah,
Where
I
was
did.
it?
His office.
Yeah.
The place he first started off looking for.
It was in my
Jason,
office.
It happens to the best of us.
It was in my office. Yeah, I literally forgot where I found it too. That's so funny. God. But yeah, you know, I hear a lot from my friends here, even some other staff members here, you know, and so that's why I was just so excited to actually come into the podcast to actually get to know you,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like it's also something that's really awesome for, you know, the audience members here, for those that want to either come in and join CSUSB, are currently here, or just overall just want to have a listen. I think it's nice and awesome to hear your perspective and your stories, and especially with our other episodes that we had with our other staff members and the faculty members that we've interviewed. Because it's things like this, right, that I feel could really catapult someone into, you know, like you said, taking that initiative of getting out there and plugging themselves into a work field where we are embracing anyone. I think that's what I find also very beautiful about CSUSB's case here, where it's just like, in other schools, you know, you may find it where it's like it's a very competitive field, and I'm not trying to undermine them, because, you know, it's competitive for a reason.
Yeah.
But here, in any case, it's just like, you know, you don't even have to be a major, right?
Yeah.
To be able to pursue an art field here, especially just in regard to theater arts. So that's also where, yeah, the collaboration aspect, the connection aspect, it's just where I've always been drawn to here. And, you know, why also I would say I can already tell, and, you know, I'm just going to say, like, already just from your first year here, as it starts to conclude, that you have already made a big difference with, you know, the folks that are here, and with not only just the CSUSB Department of Theater Arts with staff and faculty, but just the students,
Well, thank
you know. Yeah, I think it's great. So yeah, that's why we're very happy to have you.
Well,
Right.
I'm very grateful to be here.
Say, Brady,
Yeah.
aren't you teaching a class next semester?
I am. I'm teaching 2 classes. I'm teaching lighting design and scenic craft. Take my classes.
Please.
Oh, and tech practicum.
All right.
Yeah.
Earlier, you mentioned action figures.
Yes.
If you know the board, we have our advisor who also happens to talk very much about action figures. So tell us a little bit more about your collection. What kind of do you still have all your action figures?
Okay, so first of all, Scott's action figure collection is phenomenal because it's from his childhood on till today. Like, that is what I wish I had. So, when I was a child, I had a massive action figure collection of X-Men. It was mainly Marvel, but there was some Batman, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers. And when I got to middle school, I felt pressured by all my friends to sell my action figures off. And I did. And then
They were the real
I got
losers.
to my 30s. And I had a job. And I had money. And I went... Okay, so I would go on walks in Redlands, and there was this store called, it's not there anymore, the Big Bad Action Figure Store. I would go there almost every Sunday, and I would walk in, and I would just stare at these figures. They're Hot Toys, is what they're called. They're from Hong Kong. And they are 1/6 scale, beautifully crafted action figures, real fabric, sometimes real hair, rooted hair. I don't like the rooted hair, I like the sculpted hair. But they look... and it's particularly the movie. Is it Movie Masters? Movie Masters. What is it? MMA. Movie Masters Actions. What is that?
I think that's it. I think it's Movie Master Action.
Movie Master Action?
It's what the Marvel.
Yes. Yeah. But I specifically, so it's that line, but specifically the MCU. I have probably over 300 Hot Toy figures. I have a room
That's money right there. That is a lot of money.
I budget, and it is like, every wall has a bookshelf, and it is just covered with action figures.
Can you get a photo of this?
I will have to take some photos when I get to my room. I mean, when I get home to my office. But let me see. Well, here's what I do. So every time they release a new Marvel figure, I take the pre-order sheet and I add it to my screensaver.
Uh-huh.
So I can show you those really quick so you can get a sense of what these figures look like.
Oh my god.
That's the Hulkbuster. So every time a new one comes out, I quickly pre-order it.
Dude.
Whoa.
The detail.
Yeah,
I know.
it's some phenomenal stuff. To me, they're works of art.
Yeah.
And I will sit there and when I am stressed, what I typically do, there's 2 things I do. Either one, I'll go to the movies, or I will just sit in my office and stare at my action figures.
Real.
And it is my little paradise.
Do you have them? Do you have them in scenes?
I do not. So what I do is I have them separated by movies, and I have them. Some of them are in museum poses, but then some of them are in like in action poses, but typically not together. Typically like movie poster kind of imagery. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's oh god. So my brother, he used to be a very very big toy collector as well, action figure collector, and his was more randomized. I forget what this. What?
Closer to your mic.
Get closer to your mic.
So my brother is an action figure collector.
I'm leaving all that in.
Yeah, I don't know the specific companies. I forget, but that type of detail, he will find these action figures that are more horror elements. So he has Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees,
Oh, it's the Neckline.
Yes, yes, he would collect those. He's stopped now since that's money. Um, but yeah, he used to collect those horror action figures. He even has a Metal Gear figure for Solid Snake, and MCU and DC figures. I'm always fascinated by that stuff. I would definitely have a collection, but again, that's money. But touching base, because again, Brady, it's so funny because coincidentally, again, we had this like almost a similar childhood. When my friends, I used to live in, I was born in North Hollywood, but then we moved down to Southgate in an apartment complex. And in this apartment complex, I was mostly home alone just because my parents were working, both of them. My sister was at CSUSB, my brother was at school, and my other sister was working. Right. So most of the time, I was just by myself. But I would have my action figures. It was either action figures or Bionicles.
Yep.
And my brother used to always make fun of me, also would get mad at me because we would buy the full set of Bionicles, and I would just tear it apart after like a month of them,
man.
and then I just put them all together into one like weird amalgam. And that is my character, right?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
the lead character of this world that I'm trying to create. Which coincidentally, that's what birthed Mr. Nightmare, Skullface. If any of you have seen or heard me talk about, my other theater projects or just my personal stories and
Phantoms of
spirits.
Is that what the masks? Are the masks?
That's part of the, that's
Ah,
technically
that's
part of
cool.
it, yeah. So yeah, it's so funny to think that like during that time, it action figures, it's
Yeah.
like your own multiverse of madness.
It is, yeah.
Say,
No,
aren't
there's-
these the masks from the hit new film Phantoms Unknown, featuring presentations
Ooh.
today?
Yes. So okay, well I guess
You might as well talk about Phantoms Unknown.
Yeah, shameless plug, I guess. I am part.
That's
well,
not
I,
creepy. Ooh, I want
that one.
I'm a senior here
want
at
that one.
CSUSB. We create our own capstone projects, right, to represent what we have done within our 4 years here at CSUSB.
no, I want that one.
And as we work, we have the options to write research papers. We have options to do theatrical performances, make original pieces, etc. But there's also the option to make your own films. And with building your films, it is overall, yeah, you could explore different themes and different topics, make your own script, make your own books. So I created a film called Phantoms Unknown. This was a project that I've been wanting to create since around 2019, 2020, and it's an anthology. I have always been fascinated with the aspect of like having YouTube series rather than like television series, if that makes sense. But I always joke around because again I had these action figures, right? I had my Bionicles, but my siblings, because let's see, I was 6 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, so that would make my brother 15, 16 at the time. My sister's around 23, 26, around that range. I'm the baby of the family.
Hey, me too.
Oh, great.
Baby and the baby.
It's so jarring to see these. They introduced me to so many things that a child should not see at that time. Like, I was aware to who Michael Myers was by 6 years old.
Oh, man.
Right? Or Jason Voorhees, Chucky, Saw.
Oh, my God.
Especially Saw.
Try having a last name of Kruger, okay?
There we go.
Yeah.
Crew. Yeah.
I
So
had
sorry,
not
Scott.
put that together yet. Oh my goodness. So if we see him walking around with a orange, red, striped sweater, run.
Or wake up.
Or just wake up, yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I was introduced to all that media, even the Terminator, District 9.
I love District 9. It's a great film.
Yeah, oh god, dude. Don't even get me started. But all of these different films, and video games is even much worse. I was introduced to Dead Space. I was introduced to Gears of War, Left 4 Dead, and Grand Theft Auto, Metal Gear. So all these different games again. A 6-year-old should not be playing. But I did anyways because my brother is like, you're fine.
Yeah.
And so when I'm home alone with my action figures, with my Bionicles, I'm reliving those scenarios with them, right? I'll never forget. We did an assignment in I think it was my first grade class where we would draw our own pictures and make our own storybook. And I drew the most horrific looking things ever because I was fascinated by Left 4 Dead, right? So it's a zombie apocalypse. It's very gory, very bloody, and I drew that.
Oh, man.
Right? And so my teacher legit planned a meeting with my family and hey, is the child okay?
What's going on with Jason?
Should we call a counselor or something? So yeah, I've been building this world since I was 6 years old, right? Just inspiration from all these different mediums, and I've been building it, and I will play with my action figures. Even my friends will come over and we play with our action figures and we share the world. It eventually led to a point where we will go out to the parking lot, out to the quads, and we're just out here playing our games, right? And I would always play as the skull face character, right?
This is creepy. Just looking at you tell this story.
It's so jarring to see this.
Just think of how the audience feels right now.
Absolutely,
Why don't we?
Yeah. So, anyways, Halloween special.
Yeah.
A couple months early.
Yeah, just a couple months early. But yeah, I built this universe since that time, and
That's awesome.
I honestly never really had plans to genuinely release it or tell it, because growing up I was led into the belief okay, I was going to be in either allied health or maybe somewhere in the psychology department, something like that. Then in 8th grade, sixth grade, I was assigned to do and write an original story. And I made it medieval fantasy Then from there, in 8th grade, our theater program, brand new, just opened. It was the first time that teacher taught theater as well. It was a very intimate class, and he encouraged me to write my own scripts and perform them.
That's great.
And I give him all the credit to that honestly kind of really gave me that spark to just keep going with the art and build on it and not be afraid to tell my stories.
Yeah.
And so, God, yeah, he was my mentor. I give him that credit all the time. So honestly, every time I do a big project like that, I'm always I dedicate it to him. He's passed away since 3 years ago, but I always, have him in my thought there as I release my media. So yeah, Phantoms Unknown, this was something that I've conceptualized since around 2019, 2020. And as my capstone, I said, what, screw it.
That's awesome, man.
Give myself that push to get it done.
So will this be released on YouTube for us all to
it-
see?
Yes, it will.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Including the music.
Yeah.
Phantoms Unknown on YouTube.
Yeah. Do you have a date in mind of when it's going to be released?
Technically, it's been released.
Oh.
We'll be watching it today. In
sweet.
Shepherd Hall.
Oh, very nice.
I mean,
Today I'm filming. Friday. This will release on Monday, but
yeah.
it'll have passed by the time you watch this.
Yeah.
There'll be a link below for Phantoms Unknown. Get a link real quick.
Click the link below to take a look into Phantoms Unknown. My crazy little world,
This is cool,
it's not
Jason.
little, but yeah. And these masks were not all done by me. This one was done by me, but all of this were from my actors.
Oh, that's awesome. This one is just crazy cool. It reminds me a lot of Leatherface.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leatherface, mixed with, what's that new, the Valentine?
Hard Eyes?
Hard as
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a humorous quality to it within the darkness.
This was mainly inspired from Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Okay.
Before Michael had the classic, whatever his name's Matt face is, when he was in the cell, then his
William
prison cell.
Shatner, come on,
William
man.
Shatner. I'm sorry. It's been a while.
I didn't want to correct you, but yeah, it's kind of obvious, bro.
You mentioned Chucky. I have a very weird Chucky story.
Oh,
God.
So I love horror movies now. When I'm stressed, that's what I'll do. I'll watch a horror movie because I go, well, my life isn't as that. You can bleep that out, right? And it makes me go, okay, nobody's chasing me with a knife.
Yeah.
I don't have problems.
Yeah.
But I was, so I think it was 9 maybe, and I was scrolling through the TV, doing a little channel surfing, and Chucky was on, and I made the mistake of stopping, watching a bit of it, and then I got scared, and I was so scared to grab the remote and change the channel. I couldn't do it. I was frozen. And then it's the scene where Chucky, they're in the schoolroom, and Chucky's hiding in the closet, and the teacher opens the closet and then comes out with a pencil, I think, and stabs her, or a ruler or something. And then I went to commercial, and I quickly grabbed the remote, turned the TV off, and ran to my room. But when I ran to my room, my comforter, there was a bump under my comforter. Oh. And I swear I heard, "Wanna play?" And I ran out of my room and ran to my mom. And I don't remember what happened from there, but I remember going back in my room, lifting the blanket, and it just being a popcorn tin. That's where all my action figures were stored.
Yeah.
But it just, like it haunts me.
Yeah.
That moment. Always wondering, did I just imagine that voice? Was Chucky in my room that day? Maybe I didn't turn the TV off. Maybe my sister knew that I was watching it and she said it, but I don't think she was home. Maybe it was my mom playing an evil trick on me.
For me, it was Poltergeist.
Yeah?
Because not only, Poltergeist is a very creepy movie, but
Right.
I had all those Star Wars toys that would fly around his room when the Poltergeist was acting up. So for me, it was run back into my room, and there's all the stuff that I'm seeing attack the kid.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
My first ever horror movie that genuinely was Dead Silence.
Dead Silence. What is that one about?
That one is from the same creators of Saw. And that one is a doll movie or a puppet movie. Ventriloquist. I forget how do you say it?
Ventriloquism?
Yes.
I can never say that word.
Dead Silence. I'm going to rudely look it up right here.
But watching that one, yeah, again, a 5-year-old shouldn't be watching this. But my cousin said, "Hey, here you go."
Dead Silence. Let me look this up. I don't. Oh, yes. Okay, Dead Silence. Yeah, got it.
So Dead Silence was my first introduction to a horror film, and then just overall puppetry and dolls. My God. There's one specific scene where it was similar thing where before one of the characters gets absolutely brutally murdered, before it happens, the doll is under a bedsheet. And you just see the shape of the person, right? And legit, I would hide in the corner of my room because I would think that the TV screen could see me. So if I don't see it, then they don't see me. And that's what I used to do. Instead of just turning it off, I would just go hide before a jump scare happens. I will still finish and watch the movie because that's pretty cool, I guess. But then something scary happens, I go hide.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Like often the blanket thing. But I found that I would get so scared that I'd freeze. I'd freeze and I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's again, that upbringing. My sister always wants me to go to church after seeing this, but I blame them.
So I know you said you started out acting, and now you're here as a technical designer. Mm-hmm. So how long have you been doing tech?
So I did tech in my undergrad my undergrad was very much a make it what you want it to be kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it all then. So I was acting, I was doing lights, I was building, working in the scene shop. By my junior year, I was also designing. And when I was at Loma Linda, still doing the sponsored productions, I'm kind of in charge of all of that. Oh. And when I was doing the program at RCS, I was kind of in charge of doing all of it. And so a lot of these places where I've been, I just been in charge of doing all of it. And so my skills have really grown in terms of what I know how to do tech-wise. I love theater, and I love being able to do all of it. And I don't like being pigeonholed into one thing. I want to, I like acting. I like designing. I like building. I like doing costumes. I just, over the summer I do a children's workshop, and my mom and my aunt are construct the costumes, and I usually design them and also construct them with them. We made these, gosh, I bet they were 12-foot tall puppets for Mulan Jr. I mean, they're just, they're huge. And we did Beauty and the Beast, and we constructed everything from scrap. And in Lumiere's candlesticks actually glue. They glowed.
Yeah.
I'm from Missouri, okay? And then we had our Cogsworth actually had a functioning clock. We did Lion King last year, and we frickin' had legit puppets that we built and constructed. I think part of it is every time I've entered a project, I've always gone, how can I push myself? Where can I push myself here? What new thing can I learn? I remember one show I did, I hadn't yet worked with wiring LED strips. And so I was like, you know what? I want to just put a whole bunch of LED strips in this, and let's learn to rewire it and turn it into a DMX converter so that we can control these lights. Let's just see what happens. I've always liked having something there that pushes me to figure out what new thing I can do. I teach at this private school in the desert. In the first semester, we did a show. It was a ridiculous show called Fast Food, and it's just a parody of fast foods. But I was like, let's put a functioning soda fountain on stage. Let's make this work. Let's have a TV menu that we edit some videos together that shows some crazy hamburgers jumping around. I love going, where can we push it? What big thing can we do? Yeah. So in terms of tech, I've been doing it for a while, since undergrad, the same sort of acting, and it was a matter of I wanted to do it all. So that's what I would say. Here in doing your undergrad, do it all. Do it all. So that when you are out of here, you can kind of make a choice, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? And maybe you want to just kind of do it all. Then do it all. And I think that also helps, like when you get pulled into these other programs and stuff. The more the skills that you have, the more flexible you are, and the more marketable and usable you are to places. Yeah. That's a great way of doing it. Of also thinking about it is, how the sausage is made. Is that if you want to direct, then you kind of need to know all the different aspects and how all that works. And if you ever happen to have somebody who's gone long term, and there's not a budget to fill it, you can then step in and help and figure out how to still make it function and flow. I think that's a great way to keep a healthy community. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
With that being said, Brady, it has been an absolute honor having you here.
Jason, it's my pleasure, my friend. It's awesome.
Thank you so
Julian,
much.
loved it.
Boom.
Scott, behind the camera.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast of the Pear Garden. With that being said, my name is Jason Davila, president of the Players of the Pear Garden.
I'm Julian, historian of the Players of the Pear Garden.
And this was...
I'm Brady Greer-Huffman. I was interviewed.
By the Players of the Pear Garden.
By the Players
Yes.
of the Pear Garden. Please like and subscribe. Tell us your thoughts, share down below. And that concludes the podcast of the Pear Garden.
So serious.
You know what?
Ah.
The one thing I didn't do is I didn't get any fart or poop jokes in. Fart or poop jokes in. And I'm notorious for
It's okay,
for
I'm
that.
still recording.
Oh, crap.